What's going on, everyone? Today's objective, I can solve simple interest problems. So let's take a look at the vocabulary. Interest. Interest is the amount of money paid or earned for the use of money by a bank or other financial institution. Um, yeah, we'll talk more about that as we go. Simple interest, paid only on the initial principal of a savings account or loan. And principal is the amount of money that is either invested into a company or into a bond, certificate of deposit, a stock, or the money that's borrowed. So something that you might get from a loan. If you buy a house, if you buy a car, a business loan, whatever the case may be. Student loans, right? So let's go into a formula that we're going to use. So annual interest rate. Okay, so we have the formula that we're looking at here is I, so that's an I, first of all, is equal to P times R times T. Okay, P times R times T. So let's break down what everything means. So I, as stated here, is the interest. Okay, so whenever the problem mentions the interest, that's where we will input it. P is the principal. So it's that initial amount of money, either that you are investing or that you are borrowing. Okay, we'll identify the principal for every problem we see. R is the annual interest rate, and your rate is going to be given as a percentage. We want to convert it to a decimal. And finally, T is your time, but in this case, it's always going to be your time in years. Okay, years are what we're talking about. So let's go right into it. Let's do some problem solving. All right, so I'm just going to jot this down because we know we're working with simple interest. So I'm going to write down in the top here, I is equal to P times R times T. All right. So first problem, find the simple interest round to the nearest cent if necessary. So that would be the nearest hundredth place. All right, so let's go over what we're given. We can identify each individual part if we would like to, but we have the formula to the right. So let's see how we do with just writing everything out. So it says $1,000 at 4.5% for 2 years. So it looks like we're looking for the interest. So we're looking for the I in that formula. So again, I'll jot it down here. I is equal to P, principal, times the rate, times the time. Let's jot down what we know. Do we know the interest? It doesn't. We know we don't know the interest because we're being asked to find the interest. So I is going to stay as an I. Okay, do we know the principal? Well, the principal is this first amount that they're giving us here, $1,000. So the principal is 1,000. So I'm going to put that in parentheses. All right, do we know our rate? We do. It's 4.5%. We want that as a decimal. So 4.5% is a decimal. And again, if you forget, so I'll write it here, 4.5%. We move our decimal 2 places to the left, fill in a 0, and there's our new decimal, 0.045. So it's going to be 0.045. And finally is the amount of time. So how much time has gone by? 2 years. So time is also already given in years. Sometimes it's not going to be given in years. So now this actually makes it nice and easy for us. Let us go ahead and do some calculations. I'm going to whip out my calculator here. Let's do some multiplication. We're looking for the interest. Okay, and we're just looking for the interest. So 1,000 times 0.045 times 2. And it looks like my interest is going to be $90. No need to round, but make sure that you're denoting that we're talking about money here. So the interest that's going to be earned over those 2 years is $90. If they had asked you how much money, let's say it's an account, if they had asked you how much money is going to be in the account after 2 years or at the 2-year mark, we would have to take the principal amount and we would have to add it to the interest. But because they're just asking for what's the interest, it's $90. Let's do the same thing for the second one. All right. Once again, I know what I'm working with here. I know I'm talking about simple interest. And again, we're looking for the interest. So I is going to remain the same. What's our principal amount? Well, our principal amount is $2,500, that is. Our rate, well, that's 6.75%. And we know that that as a decimal means that I'm going to, lost everything for a second, move my decimal 2 places to the left, fill in a 0 as a placeholder, and my decimal is 0.0675. So 0.0675. And my time is, once again, already given to me in years. Awesome. That's 3 years. So straight to the calculator. 2,500 times 0.0675. Very important. Make sure that you put the decimals in the correct places. My interest here is going to be $506.25. Okay? And that's it for that type of problem. So let's go ahead and let's see one more, a different type perhaps. Not much, but there is a slight change in this one. Okay, so once again, we're looking for the simple interest. I is equal to P times R times T. All right, we don't know the interest. We do know the principal, $240. 8% as a decimal. Don't be tricked by this one. Our decimal point is here. It moves 1, 2 places to the left. Fill in a 0, so that would be 0.08. So 0.08 times our time, which is, notice how it's 9 months. Okay, so we have to think here. Time is always going to be in years here. So if time is in years, how many years is 9 months? Well, it's less than a year. So we have to do this. How many months are there in a year? Well, there's 12. So 9 out of 12, or 9 divided by 12, is 0.75 years, 3/4 of a year. All right, so problems like that, when they include months, we're going to have to be careful. Let's do the multiplication. 240 times 0.08 times 0.75. Oh, I multiplied that wrong. I accidentally put in 0.17. Don't know what I was thinking. 0.08 times 0.75. Again, always make sure you're putting in the right values. It would be very silly to get a problem like this wrong simply by inputting or pressing wrong buttons. $14.40 is my interest, and there's your introduction to simple interest.